Many dog owners believe they understand their dog's emotions simply because they spend time together every day, but dogs communicate in a very different language than humans do. One of the biggest mistakes people make is interpreting canine behavior through human emotional assumptions, instead of reading the actual body language the dog is displaying. Dogs constantly communicate stress, uncertainty, discomfort, submission, and emotional pressure through subtle physical signals. Yet these signals are often misunderstood as affection, obedience, or harmless behavior. Licking is one of the clearest examples. Most people immediately assume licking means love, but in many situations it can actually function as an appeasement behavior produced when the dog feels socially uncomfortable or emotionally unsure. The real meaning depends on the rest of the body. A relaxed dog who feels emotionally safe usually has soft eyes, loose muscles, relaxed ears, and natural movement while interacting. In contrast, a stressed dog may lick while keeping the body stiff or lowered, avoiding eye contact, flattening the ears backward, or pulling away immediately afterward. Some dogs even lick repeatedly in a compulsive way when tension rises. In canine social communication, these behaviors are often attempts to reduce conflict and signal that they are not a threat. The problem is that humans frequently reward these signals because they misread them as affection, while the dog may actually be trying to manage discomfort. Over time, this creates emotional confusion because the dog's communication is repeatedly misunderstood. The video emphasizes that dogs cannot hide nervous system activity the way humans often can. Their emotional state appears directly through posture, facial tension, movement quality, eye direction, ear position, tail carriage, and the overall energy of the body. A dog may remain physically near someone while still feeling anxious, conflicted, or emotionally pressured inside. This is why observing the entire body matters far more than focusing on one isolated behavior. The deeper psychological message in the content is that healthy relationships with dogs begin when owners stop projecting what they want to believe onto the animal and start honestly observing what the dog is actually expressing. Trust grows when dogs feel their signals are recognized instead of ignored. Emotional safety develops when communication works in both directions. The strongest bonds are not built by forcing closeness or demanding affection, but by understanding the subtle language dogs naturally use every moment of the day. Once people learn to accurately read these signals, they begin responding to the dog's real emotional experience rather than an imagined version of it, and that changes the relationship completely. One of the most overlooked signs of a damaged relationship between a dog and an owner is emotional withdrawal. Many people expect disconnection to look dramatic, but in dogs it is often quiet and gradual. A dog who feels emotionally bonded usually reacts in some way when their owner returns home. The response does not need to be overly excited. Some dogs simply lift their head, soften their eyes, wag gently, or move closer with calm interest. But when a dog consistently avoids eye contact, stays disengaged, remains lying down, or quietly walks away, that behavior can reflect emotional distance rather than simple independence. The content explains that this kind of withdrawal usually develops over time through repeated stressful experiences. Rough handling, punishment-based training, unpredictable reactions, forced interaction, or environments where the dog's emotional and mental needs are ignored can slowly weaken trust. Dogs learn through emotional association, and when interactions repeatedly create stress, the nervous system begins protecting itself by disengaging socially. Refusing food from a specific person is another major warning sign discussed in the video. Food motivation is deeply biological in dogs, so when stress becomes strong enough to override appetite around one individual, it often means that person has become linked to discomfort, fear, or unpredictability in the dog's mind. The problem is usually emotional, not behavioral. The same idea applies to dogs who stop responding to their names. Many owners interpret this as stubbornness, but often the dog's name has become associated with negative experiences such as scolding, restraint, forced handling, medication, or chronic stress. Over time, hearing the name stops feeling rewarding and starts feeling emotionally unpleasant. The video emphasizes that rebuilding connection cannot happen through pressure or demands for affection. Trust returns slowly through calm and predictable experiences. Gentle interactions, positive reinforcement, force-free handling, and allowing the dog to approach voluntarily help the nervous system feel safe again. Instead of forcing engagement, the owner creates an environment where the dog begins choosing connection on their own. That voluntary trust is far more meaningful than obedience created through fear or pressure. A dog who willingly turns toward you, accepts food comfortably, and responds with relaxed attention is showing something deeper than training success. They are showing emotional safety, and that safety is the true foundation of a healthy bond. One of the most misunderstood parts of canine behavior is body language, especially tail wagging and reactions to physical touch. Many people assume that a wagging tail automatically means a happy dog, but dogs communicate emotions through the entire body, not one isolated movement. The meaning of a wag depends on tail height, speed, muscle tension, posture, facial expression, and overall nervous system state. A high stiff wag may reflect arousal, tension, or dominance, rather than friendliness, while a low slow wag can signal nervousness or appeasement. Some dogs wag while keeping the rest of the body frozen, the mouth tight, and the eyes hard. In those moments, the tail may appear friendly even though the nervous system is communicating discomfort. This is why the body must always be read as a complete system. Ear position, eye contact, muscle tension, weight placement, and movement quality often reveal far more than the tail itself. The content also explains that humans frequently misunderstand physical affection. Many owners assume touching, hugging, or constantly petting a dog automatically feels comforting, but dogs communicate boundaries through subtle, calming signals long before they growl or snap. Pulling away, leaning backward, freezing under a hand, yawning suddenly, lip licking, turning the head away, or squinting are often signs of discomfort rather than affection. These behaviors are attempts to reduce tension peacefully. When people repeatedly ignore these signals and continue forcing contact, the dog learns that softer communication does not work. Over time, the nervous system may escalate toward growling, snapping, or biting because the earlier warnings failed to change the situation. The video emphasizes that healthy trust develops when physical closeness becomes voluntary instead of pressured. Dogs feel emotionally safer when they know they can move away freely and still be respected. A dog who chooses to return for touch is expressing genuine comfort, and that voluntary connection creates a far stronger bond than affection that is forced or emotionally imposed. Some of the behaviors owners fear most are actually a dog's warning system trying to work. Growling is the clearest example. A growl does not mean a dog is bad, dominant, or trying to challenge the owner. It usually means the dog feels unsafe around something specific, such as food, a resting spot, a toy, or unwanted handling. In that moment, the dog is asking for distance before the stress becomes too much. Punishing the growl is dangerous because it does not remove the fear underneath. It only teaches the dog that warning is not allowed. A dog who loses the ability to warn may skip straight to snapping or biting when pressure rises again. This is why a growl should be treated as information, not disrespect. It shows where the dog needs more safety, space, and careful trust building instead of more pressure or punishment again. Destruction is another behavior that people often misunderstand. When a dog chews shoes, clothing, or personal objects that smell strongly of the owner, many people think the dog is being spiteful. But dogs do not destroy things as revenge. In many cases, this behavior is connected to separation distress. The scent of the owner carries comfort, attachment, and emotional meaning, so the dog may chew or tear those objects while trying to cope with anxiety during absence. The real problem is not the ruined item. The real problem is the panic underneath it, which needs gradual support, enrichment, and safe practice being alone. The video also describes whale eye as one of the strongest signs of distress. Whale eye happens when the white part of the eye becomes visible because the dog is turning their gaze away while still watching the source of pressure. It often appears when a dog feels trapped, hugged too tightly, cornered, handled against their will, or unable to escape. When whale eye appears with a stiff body, closed mouth, or frozen posture, the dog is not being dramatic. They are saying they feel unsafe and may soon need stronger defenses. These signals should not be ignored or punished. They are survival communication from a nervous system under stress, and responding with space, calmness, and respect is what keeps the relationship safe. The deeper message behind all 9 warning signs is that trust with a dog cannot be forced. Dogs communicate their emotional reality constantly through body language, behavior, tension, movement, and nervous system reactions. Unlike humans, they cannot hide emotional discomfort behind polite social behavior. Every signal they show reflects what they are truly experiencing internally. This is why healthy relationships with dogs depend on learning to read those signals accurately instead of projecting human expectations onto them. The goal is not simply creating obedience or demanding visible affection. The real goal is emotional safety. Dogs build trust when they learn that their communication matters, their boundaries are respected, and their environment feels predictable rather than threatening. Calm handling, positive reinforcement, emotional consistency, and force-free interaction all help create that sense of safety. A dog who feels emotionally secure does not need to constantly defend themselves, avoid interaction, or suppress stress signals. Instead, the body naturally softens. The eyes become relaxed, movement becomes loose, greetings become genuine, and physical closeness happens voluntarily rather than through pressure. The video repeatedly emphasizes that true connection comes from consent. A healthy bond is not built by forcing hugs, demanding attention, or controlling every interaction. It develops when the dog feels free to move away, free to communicate discomfort, and free to return when they feel ready. That freedom actually strengthens attachment instead of weakening it. Over time, the dog learns that being near the owner feels emotionally safe rather than emotionally complicated. The content ultimately frames canine behavior as direct communication from the nervous system itself. Every growl, avoidance signal, relaxed posture, or soft greeting carries emotional meaning. Owners who respond with patience, observation, calmness, and empathy create relationships based on trust rather than pressure. In the end, the strongest bond is not the one where the dog obeys out of fear or obligation, but the one where the dog willingly chooses closeness because they genuinely feel safe in the relationship.